Hello and welcome to the Walk in Love podcast. I'm TJ.
And I'm Brooke.
And today we're going to talk about the life-changing practice of paying attention. Thank you for listening. Thank you for making us a part of your week. Am I reading that or are you?
Sure, you can read it.
Okay. Did I do it out of order?
No.
Okay. The Walk in Love podcast is a weekly conversation between Brooke and I about emotions, rhythms, marriage, parenting, and faith. It's a place where we laugh and sometimes cry as we try to find language to live a full life. And we're glad you're here.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad you're here.
I like your shirt.
I like your shirt, sweatshirt. So, podcast collection is coming out on Black Friday, which is this week. That you're listening to this. So
Wow.
If you're listening on Monday, it's a few days from now. If you're listening on Tuesday, it's still a few days from now. If you're listening on Wednesday, 2 days from now. Thursday, happy Thanksgiving. It's tomorrow. We will release it one day early. So it actually releases on Thanksgiving. That's just the way it's going to work. So on the 23rd, which is the day before Thanksgiving at 9 p.m. Eastern, we're going to launch the podcast collection, which we'll show you in a second here. The online warehouse sale, which we've kind of been previewing on our story, tons of different designs, all available in different quantities and different sizes. So it's kind of like it's a little bit chaotic, but it's just what we have left. So that's the way it is. So we have that, those designs, and then also the print shop, which we're going to preview here very quickly. And it's going to run for a week and then it will end when we do our Christmas extravaganza live stream and give away a bunch of stuff. So busy week for us. And we got Thanksgiving, and I can't believe it's Thanksgiving.
Yeah. It feels very surreal to be like we're mid to end of November.
Yeah.
It's happening.
But we're very excited about the podcast collection. And why don't we let's do the review of the week and then we'll show the collection.
Sure. Yeah.
Go ahead.
So the review of the week titled So Encouraging. 2 exclamation points. 5 stars, but 2 exclamation
But didn't
points.
get that third exclamation. That hurts.
That's okay.
Yeah,
Listening to this podcast has become one of the highlights of my week. Every episode leaves me feeling encouraged and challenged to continue walking in love and seeking Jesus. So grateful. 1 exclamation point.
Nice.
So-
So we got 3. We got all 3. Oh, no.
There's more in there,
Oh,
but
yeah. So we got 5.
I think we got 5 stars and 5 exclamation points.
Whew, that was close.
So top-notch review.
Thank you. We're still on our way to 1,000 reviews. So I don't know why I said that so intensely. So go leave your review
right now.
right now. And then you always say. So the podcast collection. I don't know how we're gonna let's try it this way.
I don't know how we do it, but I think for the sake of only people listening, it should be quasi-fast.
Okay. So why don't you grab your phone
Okay.
and you just do like an overhead recording of the stickers.
Ooh.
And I'll grab that footage and put it over this
Okay.
footage that they're.
Sounds good. You
so,
talk. Go.
So if you're going to YouTube, you can see this. So we asked you guys what inside jokes that you liked most about the podcast, and all these rose to the top. So we have how many designs? 5? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 designs. Correct? Am I looking at that correctly?
Yeah, I don't know. Sure. Depends
So-
if you divide that one into 2.
Yeah, I guess just 5 designs.
1, 2,
So
3, 4.
Okay, I Love
5.
You Bye, which will be
6.
available on sticker, print,
Mhm.
a mug, as you can see here, a keychain, an enamel keychain,
Mhm.
a black T-shirt that I'm wearing right now, a gray Buttersoft sweatshirt that Brooke is wearing, and then you want to grab the pink shirt as well,
Yeah, I can.
and then a pink shirt. So, Okay, I Love You Bye, obviously that was like the top one. I feel like second was Strong Feelings, Butt Clenchers. Those kind of came in 2, 1 and 2. Strong Feelings is older, so there's the pink shirt with Okay, I Love You Bye, pocket print. All these are extremely limited. Like we did not order a large quantity because it's the first time we've ever done this, and we're unsure if you guys are gonna buy them. Hopefully you do. That would be great. So Strong Feelings, which was our very first segment. I still remember Brooke and I were walking around the King of Prussia Mall, and she was like,
Now the second largest mall in the country.
"Oh, I didn't know that.
Used to be the third.
Well,
I was just updated. It's
did
now
the
number 2
second one
spot.
blow up or?
I don't know what happened. All I know is that no, I think it's because King of Prussia expanded.
Yeah.
And so, but it's big news.
Big news.
Big news.
So yeah, so we were walking around King of Prussia and she was like, I feel like I want to do a segment called Strong Feelings where we just like share things that were like, that like fire us up. And I was like, oh, I love that. So that's when Strong Feelings was born. It comes on a sticker, a print, and a t-shirt. And then the next design we have is Carpet Vor. So Carpet Vor, for those of you that are new, I don't even know what episode we discussed it in.
It's been a few.
But it, again, a moment I'll never forget in my life. Sitting with Brooke and she's like quasi-serious, but I also think just
This
like
is a long time
tired
ago.
and loopy. She's like
at
looking
least
at the
5
ground.
years ago.
And I'm like, what are you thinking about? And she's like, what if there was like a carpet that could clean itself?
It would eat everything you drop on the floor, but it wouldn't eat your furniture and it wouldn't eat your feet. So you don't have to be worried about that.
No, you weren't even that far developed. It was just like,
No,
what if there was a
that's
carpet
true.
that would just like absorb trash
The
or
matter.
like crumbs? It was really like a crumb feature. And
Yeah.
I was like, what about your feet? How would it know the difference? And you're like, oh no, there's technology for that.
It knows.
So
It knows, Michael.
it launched into a probably way too long conversation about what Carpet Vor would be and how we would market it and all this kind of stuff. And so we've mentioned it on the podcast before, and it's just become like, it's in our Walk and Love podcast Instagram bio. It says, married 13 years, inventor of Carpet Vor. I recently told June that if anybody ever asked her what her parents do for a living, to tell them, oh, they invented Carpet Vor.
There's a very good chance she's actually going to say that, which
So-
is pretty amazing.
So we had our buddy Taylor Penton do all these designs. So he drew this little Carpet Vor monster. And then on the back, we have sort of the logo, Carpet Vor, everything but your feet, established TBD, because we're still in development, obviously.
We're still taking
that-
investors.
Yeah, that technology just isn't going to build itself. So we have that. The Strong Feelings comes on a shirt. And then we have one, again, this is a joke that I don't know where it came from. I'm going to do that one last.
Oh.
Good Brain, Great Skull. It was like one of the first collections where we're like, hey, we're going to give you a discount code. And as the conversation went on, we started talking about, I believe this is how this came about. We started talking about how like, we're not that smart, but at least we have a great skull that our brain fits into.
Mm-hmm.
And so it became Good Brain, Great Skull. That was the discount code that went along
It's
with
like
it.
what you tell yourself as an
It's like,
encouragement when
yeah.
it's not, when you can't figure. This
You're
math is really hard, but hey, good brain, great skull. I got it going for me.
So Good Brain, Great Skull was born. It's honestly my favorite design. I don't know. I really like the Good Brain, Great Skull design.
It's good.
Because it's, and it's just like it's one of those sort of dumb jokes where it's like, yeah, that's dumb, but I'm going to wear it, or I'm going to put the sticker on my water bottle, or I'm going to hang the print. So those come in as shirt, sticker, and a print.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the butt clenchers design, which Brooke told Taylor, was like, I think it should be a peach because I don't want people.
I don't actually want a butt.
Yeah. And then we weren't sure. We didn't put it on a t-shirt because I was just like, I don't know if people are going to wear this. We have heard that people want it, but
Yeah.
for now it's just on the sticker, the keychain, and the mug.
And a print.
And a print. So there are definitely enough butt clenching options for you. And then the last of the designs is, we told Taylor how we talk about like Googling bridges, and we drew up a couple ideas for him of like, we drew a bridge and it says, I live here now, but he just blew it out of the park with sort of the like Google.
Blew it out of the water.
Blew it out of the water.
I don't think you can blow something out of a park, can you?
I mean, you could blow up a park if you wanted to.
No, then you should say he blew up a park and designed
Well,
it.
that sounds violent. He blew it out of the water.
You hit it out of the park.
Hit it out of the park. Yeah, there you go. He hit it out of the water and blew it out of the park with the like, when you start typing into Google and it gives you suggestions. So it says bridges to live under, bridges near me, bridges I can live at, bridges as a home. So that's available on a sticker and a print. And yeah, so we're super stoked about this collection. It's like definitely the quirkiest thing we've ever done. But we know that you as the podcast audience, as the butt clenchers, are going to love it. So it is very limited. Every item is limited and hopefully sells out. So that's that. And then I want to have Brooke even shuffle through them, but the prints, we had you guys
The
vote
regular
on the
design
prints. So we have
prints.
5x7s and 8x10s coming back this year for the print extravaganza. And so, yeah, we're super stoked on all that kind of stuff. Again, subscribers will get access November 23rd, 9 p.m. Eastern, the day before Thanksgiving. And then 24 hours later, we'll flip off the password and we'll knock the password out of the park. And then everyone
blow up the
will
website.
have access.
Rebuild it.
I have deleted websites before. That's sort of triggering for me.
It's not funny.
It's not.
It's really not
funny. That was like before it was easy and like you had to know sort of some server stuff and like it was just like if you deleted one thing, it was like, oh, I guess I just deleted everything. This is cool. So one thing someone told us last week, a few people told us, is like our podcast, we upload to one platform and then it distributes it to all the platforms. So for some reason it wasn't on Google Podcasts. I don't know why. We did everything we normally do.
Mm-hmm.
My only thought is we played copyrighted music, and so maybe they're cracking down on that. So we have songs that we're going to add to the Song of the Week playlist and the Christmas playlist, but I'm just not going to play them this week and just see like if I upload it again normal and it goes to Google Podcasts, that might be the scenario because I reached out to Anchor, who's the platform we upload to, and haven't heard back. So not sure what's that all about, but hopefully it'll get resolved.
Mm-hmm.
So songs of the week, both added. We have a Christmas song and a worship song. And we're going to do the Mount Rushmore of slices of pizza.
No, you have to eat. I think you have to eat the whole pie.
Oh, whole pies of pizza.
Just kidding.
Brooks rules.
You don't have to consume the whole pie, but
if you're ordering 4 pizzas, if you're like extremely hungry,
yeah,
and you're like, I don't want to just eat one slice of pizza. I want to eat a bunch of slices.
right.
This is what you're ordering. You're ordering these 4 pies.
Yes, and I would want a slice of each pie.
Okay. Are you getting specific as to where you're ordering them from?
You can.
Okay.
That changes things a little bit, but I hadn't, but now maybe I will.
I think all of mine are from the same place.
Mine might be too, which is crazy. Okay, Hawaiian is on my list. I just love it.
Yeah. And you live here now.
What? No way. Okay, so I wrote barbecue chicken as number 2, but here's the thing.
We started out friends.
It was cool, but it was all. I could take or leave the chicken. I really just want barbecue. Huh. So here's the sweet spot. My favorite Hawaiian pizza has barbecue as the sauce.
So if you could combine 1 and 2, you will.
Yeah.
Does it have chicken on it too, or is it just?
No, the Hawaiian wouldn't.
Hawaiian barbecue is barbecue, pineapple, and ham.
Yes.
Cheese.
And then the barbecue gets swirled on top, which is amazing. So, but I love anything with barbecue, or I should say almost anything with barbecue.
So if like barbecue chocolate.
Yeah. We just eat it.
Like barbecue dip bugs. So dumb.
But do you know how many dumb, like, I hate to peg middle schoolers, but probably like, I'm not touching you. I'm not touching your face. I'm not touching your face. And they're so close to you.
Oh, you like, that's like Gene Shorts has that video. Like, oh, you like any kind of music? Any kind of music? You know?
Yeah. No, so I wrote barbecue chicken, but really as long as that one has some sort of like caramelized onions and other fancy cheese on it, I'm in. Cheese pizza.
It's
I will always take a slice
100%.
of cheese pizza. I'll never say no.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then lastly, I like a white pizza.
Oh,
like
shaking it up.
Really garlicky. Am I allowed to say that anymore? Do I like a white pizza?
Oh gosh, I didn't even go there.
They're just really good. And the ones that have like the fresh mozzarella.
Brooke just got canceled, everyone.
The fresh mozzarella and the fresh ricotta all like glopped on there in a good way. I don't usually use glop in a positive way. This is the kind of glop I want.
I glopped pretty hard last night out of the park.
You did.
I've seen a guy glop at the park. Ooh.
In Hawaii, that is true. So I think those would be mine.
Those are good. We started watching Chef's Table Pizza. And the first episode, so far we've watched 4 episodes.
I think so.
And really I think they're loose with the term pizza a little bit. Like some of them, like it's just bread with like 1,000 ingredients on it.
Right.
But the first episode was like about this place in Arizona. And that one was like that's the only one that I'm literally salivating over this. The other ones, like I thought some of them looked good, but that was the one that's like
I
it
thought
actually
the storytelling was good and it was interesting.
The documentary
but I
was
didn't
great.
necessarily want to eat their pizza.
But the first pizza was like that looked like pizza.
Like,
felt like
should
pizza.
we go
yeah,
here?
Should we travel to Arizona? to go there. Okay, so my favorite pizza place I've ever eaten at, which I assume is yours too, is 7 Mile Pie in Stone Harbor, New Jersey.
Yeah, which
Which
is
is
like
so random.
obscure,
Yeah.
sort of. I mean, like East Coast has good pizzas. They have a style of of pizza.
yeah, like the New York style.
Yeah.
Chicago style is basically just like lasagna, but they call it pizza. Like that deep dish stuff. Yeah, so 7 Mile Pie in Stone Harbor is my favorite. But that's also because like we went there year after year, and so we ate there. Like I think it's also associated with the memories of that vacation. It is excellent pizza.
Yes.
But it's like I've probably had really great pizza, but it's like one slice at a restaurant while we're traveling, but I don't necessarily remember. So my memory is strong with 7 Mile Pie.
Yeah.
Mine are buffalo chicken, and I think buffalo chicken.
Buffalo chicken.
Yeah. So those are the 4 pizzas. I'm ordering 4 buffalo chicken pizzas.
If you're only allowed a slice from each
and
one,
I'm
you
just
want 4
I want
slices.
4 slices of buffalo chicken. But really, 7 Mile Pie does it really well. I have not like any like chain. I don't feel like does buffalo chicken that well.
No.
So buffalo, but my list is buffalo chicken, Meat Lovers, which like any chain does Meat Lovers well. I mean,
Probably.
it's hard to get that wrong.
Round Table's pretty good.
Pepperoni. I just love a classic good pepperoni pizza.
Classic pep.
Gotta go with the classic pep and then classic cheese. Those are mine.
Yeah.
Although when we were in Kansas City, my brother at his birthday party when I was there, you were here, had some pizza that I sent Brooke photos of because I was just like, it was like real thick but it was awesome.
It looked amazing.
So
I'm sure
yeah,
it would make my
those are my
insides
Mount
want to
Rushmore.
die, but
yeah,
yeah. Clearly I'm wanting pizza
Yeah.
with real crust.
there is a pretty good gluten-free pizza on Maui at Manoli's, so maybe we can
Yeah,
go there.
it's not bad actually.
And actually
It's
sit
just
down and
$98, but it's fine. It's fine.
first slice,
I'm kidding. It's not that much.
but it is pricey.
It is a lot when
Um,
you're like, this is all I'm
This
getting.
is okay, cool. I
But
guess
at least I
at least
get,
I won't
at
curl
least I get a
over
pizza.
and die after I eat it. So I have some strong feelings, and
Okay.
Brooke shares these strong feelings. They're so strong that I had trouble sleeping last night and woke up this morning.
Here we go.
So here's the story.
Here we go,
I'm going to tell
people.
you a tale. So we've filled you in, and if you're new here, a few months ago, our cat Cheese
Not even that. Yeah.
went missing. He was gone for 9 days, but then because he's microchipped, the Humane League called us. We got him back. It was at the end of an emotional week. I walk through the door with Cheese. Brooke starts weeping. Brooke has cried over Cheese.
Yeah.
So
Our cats' names are Mac and Cheese.
Mac and Cheese, 2 orange boy cats, super friendly, super kind. They're outside cats and inside cats, so they like roam the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been very aware of like, okay, I see them both each day. Like ever since Cheese was missing, I've been like, okay, mentally aware that when I fed them, both came running. So then one day I like went through the whole day and I was like, I don't think I've seen both of them. Sometimes it can get confusing though because they look so identical that it's like, am I seeing the same one over and
I
over
don't know.
again? And so I mentioned it to Brooke that night. I said, hey, I haven't seen Mac. I'm going to go, call for him, etc. So I walked around the neighborhood, couldn't find him. And it's like, they're outside cats. Like I'm not worried about it. So then the next day went by again, couldn't find him. So Maui, I think Maui's pet culture is that you turn them into the Humane League or you post about them because it's such a small island that like people, it can be very easy to find someone else's pet. And so there's this Lost Pets of Maui Facebook page. So I go to it and
On Wednesday.
So yeah, yesterday.
Yeah.
And, Monday was the first day that we kind of noticed, hey, I don't know if
I have a memory of seeing him Sunday night very clearly.
Yes.
So I knew he was here Sunday night.
And so I go and I scroll down and there he is. There's Cheese. Or
No,
there's
Mac.
Mac. Someone took a photo. Hey, this nice friendly cat is at my house on blank street, which is our street. So I'm like, oh, that's our cat. Like he wanders our street all the time. So I was like,
I am a little shocked that neighbor person has not seen the 2 orange cats that roam prior.
yeah.
Because any other neighbor I've talked to has been like, oh yeah, I've seen them. I didn't
Yeah.
know they were yours.
Yeah.
Like, shocking.
And so I message her right away and I'm like, hey, you have our cat Mac. Is he still there? He's probably too dumb to find his way home. Like, cats can kind of be like that sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, if you're petting him and feeding him, he's like, going to be your buddy.
Yeah.
And so then I messaged right away when I saw the picture. And then I go into the comments and I'm reading like people being like, hey, this might be my cat. Hey, this might be my cat. Hey, this might be my cat. It looks like my cat. And so I'm going to call the first person. I'm just going to make up names. Beth.
Okay.
So Beth has found Mac and is
Beth is our neighbor we don't
Beth
know.
is our neighbor we don't know who has posted a photo of Mac.
Okay.
Someone comments on that photo. I'm going to call her Sarah.
Okay.
Sarah says, that looks like my cat. Is he still there? Beth replies, no. Lucy has come and picked him up.
Yes.
And then Beth replies again, but Lucy realized it wasn't her cat when she got home. I'll text you Lucy's number. So now I'm thinking, okay, so Beth gave my cat to someone else who went to her house, picked it up, drove it all the way back home, and then realized, oh, this isn't my cat.
Yeah.
So I'm irritated.
And drove far.
Yeah, so like
likely
40
like
minutes,
40 minutes
from
to this
where we
person's
live.
house.
So I'm like, so at no point did you so what made you think that your cat traveled 40 minutes, 30 miles or whatever it is from where you live to here, and this woman has it?
Mm-hmm.
So like, I'm just annoyed at sort of the logical thinking that's happening right now.
Yeah.
So I'm messaging both Beth, who's not getting back to me then because I'm sure she feels bad. And then I message one of the women that was like, I think this might be my cat. And I said, hey, did Beth ever message you? I forget all the fake names I'm using.
I wrote them down.
Lucy's number. And Sarah, who said, yes, she did. Here it is. So then I text Lucy last night. Again, this is Wednesday. And I say, hey, I think you have our cat.
Yeah.
You know, you drove to where we live and you picked it up and then you realize it's not yours, which again, I'm flabbergasted that is a thing. And do you still have him? Where is he? Oh, we did have him, but my kids left the door open and he ran away.
So you drove to my street.
So you drove to our street,
took a cat that wasn't yours,
drove back to your house
for 40 minutes,
and then lost.
And then let it escape.
So
I am internally raging.
Oh man.
And here's the thing. I'm not a cat mom. I'm not like a,
No.
I mean, I love my cats. And if you are a cat mom, to each his own. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not shaming that. I'm just saying that, like,
it's not part of your identity.
no, I'm not like, oh, it's everything to
Yeah.
me. I adore our cats and I've always loved any cat we've ever had. But I recognize that we have chosen to let them be indoor, outdoor for that exact reason.
But I was like,
But I'm angry.
I'm angry. I had such strong feelings on so many levels of like, okay, one,
neighbor lady we don't know, Beth, let's say.
yeah.
She posted pictures within like 3 minutes, it feels like, of finding him.
And then someone came to pick it up that day. Like we hadn't even realized he was gone yet.
It hadn't even been 24 hours and he had already left our town to go to another town.
And so then I think I'm most mad with Lucy,
Yes.
who took him and didn't realize it wasn't her cat.
Yes.
And then lost him.
If I had accidentally picked up the wrong animal and
Yes.
realized that, I would have either turned around immediately and taken it back.
Yes.
I would have taken it straight to the Humane League, or I would have locked it in a room and been like, okay, I can't do either of those things right now, but don't escape
Yeah.
because you are not mine.
So today the plan is for me to drive up to the area that she lives, which is about 40 minutes away from us, hang some signs and call for him because thankfully Brooke has always put it in, like we've always yelled kitty, 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 kitty before we feed our cats. And so they'll come to that call. So
It's like yelling chick, 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 chick when you feed a chicken.
praying that cheese or that Mac shows up. The girls are obviously distraught and like we're unpacking this as it goes. And I was like, and I guess I'm annoyed. Like I was trying to tell Brooke, like, okay, why does this frustrate me so much?
Well, because we woke up today still internally raging, both of us. And I was like, man, I cannot let this go. And I didn't feel this way about Cheese being lost.
No, because he just disappeared and we had no idea. Like, I think what bothers me, and this is maybe just part of sanctification.
Being right.
Yeah.
Part of being right.
No. I think what bothers me is like, I get so frustrated when things are avoidable. Like at so many points could all of this been avoided. Like the neighbor lady could have just pet the cat a few times and been like, okay, you know, like,
see you later.
Like let him just be, and he would have made his way back. The woman who picked him up could have been like, this definitely isn't my cat. I'm going to leave him here.
Yeah.
The woman that picked him up couldn't have lost him and taken him right back, taken him to the humane. Like there's so many different areas where like this, and because that didn't happen, we're in like a scenario that's like, it feels unlike, I'm still believing that I'm going to find this kitty, but it feels unlikely. It gets less and less likely as the story goes on. And so it's just like so easily avoidable. Why? And then I go back to myself. It's like, we should have had collars on them.
Yeah.
But it's like, you've heard stories.
I did buy them collars and they popped them off.
Yeah. And so it's like,
yeah.
So there's a lot of strong feelings within this cat story. And it's just like, there's this one story that's like drilled into my memory.
The dog story? Is that what you're going to tell?
No, a dog story.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Go ahead.
So and this is why I think maybe it's like really frustrating to me, because people, when the clinical definition is like when you're triggered, it sends you back in time. And so
it's time travel.
It's time travel. So like if I'm triggered by this, there's something in my past as a child or whatever that like I feel this emotion very deeply.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what that is, but I do know moments like this. And one of them that's so vivid to me is like, I was walking down the stairs in our Pennsylvania home and I noticed that the baby gate was like slightly askew. And I said, oh, I should fix that. I thought that, but I stepped over it and I was like, I don't know if I was just doing something else or had something on my mind. Walked down the stairs. Literally 4 minutes later, I hear like a loud cry, run upstairs. June has fallen through the baby gate, bonked her head, has this huge knot on her forehead.
Yeah.
And I just like remember just like internally raging at just like, I could have fixed it. Like I literally, not that it was just like a freak thing and it was loose and I didn't know, but I literally had the thought, I should fix that. I should do that right now. And I ignored it. And so I think that's what I feel in this moment, that should have had the, collars on them or whatever. Like, but that's not even my thought. It's like all of us should, like you all should have had those thoughts and you didn't.
Yeah.
You just kept ignoring them and plowing through the scenario. And now we're way
I
worse
can
than when we
almost
started.
see her front yard from here out that window.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really bothers me is that like, if he was a few streets over or something, I'd be like, well, I get it. And I understand that she doesn't know where he came from. Right. But I'm just like, I don't know.
Those are my very, very strong feelings. And I'm working through it. Like, I know it seems so silly and little and tiny, but I always think like if something is stirred up so ferociously inside of me, this is an area of my heart that is hard, that needs to be softened. And so I'm going to
or understood
or unpacked or whatever. And so I'm going to pay attention to that because I don't want to just like shove it down and just like, gloss over it and be like, oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be fine. It's going to be okay. And I'm hoping for all those things, but like there definitely was an emotional side of it that I was like, ooh, this is making me feel spicy, which is what strong feelings kind of is all about.
Yeah.
And it's like, sometimes we do that as a joke. And this one was definitely like, no, I really am.
Probably, honestly, realistically, I'm not exaggerating. The strongest actual feelings I've ever had in a strong feelings segment.
Yes.
Like, because before it's been like, oh, triggered in like the like, I'm annoyed,
internet
I'm bothered, like
way,
internet meme way. And this was like, oh, wow, something's actually happening here. Yeah. I am very angry.
Yeah, it's usually like this.
Honestly, where does it end with you people?
So hopefully we find him. I'm going to head up country today and try to track him down. And I'm just like visually picturing a moment where I yell his name and I see this orange cat coming running to me, and I'm just believing that that's going to be
that would be amazing
a reality today. But all that being said, let's get into the topic today. Unless you have anything else, like
no, I don't think so.
Kind of highlighted the next week. Our week's been pretty normal. But
no, I don't really have anything. Today's topic is the life-changing practice of paying attention.
Yes.
And I think we're going to break this into 2 episodes because we can, you could apply this to anything in life, but we're going to break it down into 2 bigger categories.
Yes.
And so today's is the life-changing practice of paying attention to
stuff like this.
Yeah, exactly. Which is, the story unfortunately fits in really well. Paying attention to your emotions, to your emotional health and growth. Mm-hmm. And
paying attention to the things that make you internally rage with the fire of 1,000 suns.
Yeah. Or the things that make you internally shut down. Or it could be any of those things. Yep. It's not always rage.
Yeah. Although for some people it might always be rage.
It could be.
Yeah. But paying attention to the like what we call choke points, or like, I don't know, I guess choke points is the best point like in life. Like, where are the places in your life where you like, I'll use like a kid example. So like a lot of people, the choke point of getting ready is like putting shoes on. And it's like that becomes a super frustrating moment in every day. And so it's like some people will just allow that to be a frustrating moment every day for all of time, and they'll never do anything to fix it. And it's like you're adding all this terrible stress to your life on something that is like could be fixed with, or could at least be tried to be fixed with 100 different scenarios.
Right.
And so it's like, and we would look at someone doing that and we would think, this is easily fixed. Put a basket by the door, have a shoe rack, leave all the shoes in the car,
Right.
put them on when they get dressed for like normal day. Like there's just a bunch of different scenarios we would see someone do that. And then yet us personally, we get angry and we can't get past it. And then we get angry and we can't get past it. We get angry and we can't get past it. We shut down and we can't get past it. We do all these emotional things that we end up bottlenecking our growth, and we never fix them.
Right.
And because we're not paying attention to the areas of our lives that need fixing, or that need to be sanctified, or that need improvement, or that we need to work on, or that we need to actively try to pursue healing for. And so we'll see one scenario in this and we'll be like, we'll pay attention enough to be like, hey, this can be fixed. And then when it comes to our like own internal emotions, we're just like, yeah, I'm not going to.
Right. Well, using kids as, since you like went there, I can stay there. Like kids have the ability to, and I think a spouse could too, or even a close friend, but there is something about kids because they're little that they can pinpoint a trigger in the real emotional, like from therapy sense, the word trigger, something so fast. Because there's probably a lot of people who aren't bothered by their kids taking a while to put their shoes on.
Right.
And then there's some who are, and you could use anything, eating dinner quickly, getting ready for bed, listening, whatever with kids. And I often think that it truly does trigger something deeper. Because for me, whenever I get very anxious or jittery or like bothered that the kids are not moving fast enough, insert any scenario in which they're not moving fast enough, that's because I personally have which I've learned, like a fear of running out of time, there not being enough time, not using my time well, feeling like my time is mine and shouldn't be anybody else's, but also feeling like that's not fair. I would love for it to be everybody else. Like I swirl around over time a lot. And so I'm very triggered when kids waste time or take too much time. And I'm like, too much time compared to what? Like,
Why waste time? Say lot word when few word do trick.
That's very, very true. Kevin nailed it. Yeah.
Is Kevin your spirit animal?
No. No, I don't know. We could do that Mount Rushmore sometime. But I think when I was thinking about this episode and paying attention, which I think, the practice of paying attention just to your life as a whole it sounds so simple and it sounds like, well, of course I'm paying attention. And I'm like, but are you? Like, are you? And I say that to myself too. Yeah. Like, it's not a judgment. Yeah. That's are you actually in the different areas of your life really paying attention? And do you like what you see, or do you wish it was different, or, whatever? And when I think about like the emotional side of life, I don't feel like, I hope we're changing this for our kids and our generation and generations below us. But like, I don't feel like I went through life and school and all the things and was told like everything was like preparing you for SATs or preparing you for college or preparing you for early marriage or preparing you for your first job and your first kid. It's like all very milestone based. And no one said, hey, at some point you might want to pay attention and start figuring out how to talk about your feelings, because that's going to be really helpful. Yeah. Because I think there's certainly a large group of people who want nothing to do with it. They still don't want to talk about their 100%. Feelings. But
we'll talk about that a little bit.
And then I think there's a maybe equally large, but unfortunate that they're like, I actually would, I see the value. I know why I need to talk about them to myself, to a therapist, to a spouse, to whatever. I need to journal about it. Like dive into your emotions and feelings. But I literally think they don't know how.
Yes.
And that is
100%.
that category. Both categories make me really sad.
Yes.
But like that one, I'm like, oh, you're so close. You just
Right.
need the tools to do it
The
because
language, yeah.
you go back to like the SAT prep or whatever else. Like you're given the tools to succeed in those areas.
Yeah.
You're given the tools.
Well,
Yeah. But
Some
you know
of
what
us
I
did
mean?
better than others.
Yes. I know you did.
No, I actually think you did.
I don't know. My SAT scores were, I literally have no idea because
think
they
mine were-
changed them not
It
long
used to be
after.
1600 was like when we were kids. That was the high. 1600 was perfect.
Okay.
What'd you get?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I bet I didn't break
I
1,000.
think I got a 1090. I only took them once, so.
Yeah. I think I took it twice and I did worse the second time. Probably because I was
Nice.
in my head. Or I was like, I don't want to go to college with me. Actually, that wasn't totally true at the time, but I didn't think that.
Okay, so let me paint a scenario. There's something I don't want to forget because we were talking.
Yeah.
So before we talk about like how to talk about your emotions,
Yeah.
I want to paint a scenario, and I think this is kind of piggybacking off of what you said. So you're saying we get prepared for specific like milestones in life, which I think is true, and
Hopefully, if we have good parents, teachers,
yeah.
coaches, hopefully they do prepare
And that's
us.
very valuable. But what I think that does is that sets us on a rhythm and a path of like, I feel chaotic. My life feels out of control. I don't know, like, you know, I just like, we've all been there, swirliness, butt clenched, Googling bridges, like all those phrases that we have. And it's like, so I'm going to meal plan and I'm going to get really good at this one task of meal planning, or I'm going to get real. And I'm not saying that there's not value in that, but it's like what we do is we go and try to make a milestone
We're
to
at the wrong
fix
level.
the root of
Yeah.
fear, loneliness, sad, hurt, whatever. And so it's like we're sort of predisposed to be trained in a way that's like, I have some stress or anger or hurt in my life and my heart. Let me find a milestone that I can associate with fixing that. And then we'll meal plan for a month really well. And then we'll kind of fall off and we're like, oh, that's all still there. That didn't change this.
Yeah.
Does some sort of rhythm and structure obviously help with some pain and some hurt and all that kind of stuff? Absolutely. But I think what we're trying to talk about today is like, let's pay attention to the root cause, the emotion way deep down that we've kind of shoved down over all the years. And we're learning how to express it, talk about it, and not talk about it in a way that's like, you know, I forgot to take out the trash and now we're fighting about something that you did to me that hurt.
Just
Like,
about to say,
we're
there's a difference between blurting out emotional words
Yeah.
and feeling like as if you had a feelings chart and you were just like, I'm this, yelling it.
And so Brooke and I are not therapists. We're not trained in this, like, but we have just over the last 4 years made it a priority to talk about our emotions. And we've, you know, read about it and we've learned about it. And so these are just some of the ways that we're going to talk about today that we have found the language to make it helpful for us.
Yeah.
Because that's what matters. Like, it matters that we're emotionally connected and invested in each other, and so that we can have a deep, intimate relationship that stands the test of time, because we don't want to fall out of love. We don't want to just live with each other and deal with each other. We want to have a deep, thriving intimacy with each other better than the day we got married. And that's the goal. And so we're going to talk about just some of the things that we've learned and language that we've developed over the past few years that I feel like has led to a deeper and richer connection and relationship than we've ever had.
Yeah.
And so I think we'll start off with the
Boogity boogity.
what is it?
I have no idea.
What's the word I'm looking for? It's like taboo or no?
Controversial.
Like, controversial. There it is. Huh. Took me a while to get there. The Enneagram was so here's let me just meme out the internet for you real quick. Have you seen that? You've seen the Drake meme where he's like, and then pointing. It's from his like "Keep Your Love Locked Down." And he's like going like this, like no thanks to one picture, and then like
I want it
to the next picture.
Okay.
And so there's this one going around Christians where it's like no thanks, and it's a picture of Harry Potter.
Right.
It's like can't do Harry Potter.
Yeah.
That's too controversial or taboo or whatever for the Christians realm.
Yeah.
And then he's pointing to Lord of the Rings, and he's like, yeah.
Right.
And it's like they're both full of magic and fantasy.
They're both about good and evil. Yeah.
And so it's like, I feel like for whatever reason, 2 years ago, that happened to the Enneagram, where people were like, can't do it, you know, but
Yeah. My assumption is that because it gained such popularity, it felt like it gained it so fast.
Right.
Especially among like faith circles and groups, that it became this like, this is scary. People are putting this in front of the Bible.
Yeah.
Let's cancel it. Were there people doing that? Sure, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. But like, that's where the internet gets so black and white and so intense. And so like, if you like this, you're the worst. And if you don't, you're the worst.
And so we've gotten messages that are like, I can't believe you talk about this. Like, you know, did you know, blah, 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 blah. Or, you know, this person talked about it in this podcast. Like, you know, it's like someone read one blog post. And so it's like now everything associated with it is off limits. And so we just don't have that attitude. Is the Enneagram our religion? Absolutely not. Was it a super helpful tool in developing language to talk about our emotions in an accurate way? 100% yes.
Yes.
And so if that's something that you want to do, I think it's a great place to start, because I don't
think you need to be scared of it.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know,
come on.
To me, it's like, you know,
I don't think we should be even suggesting that things like that have that much power compared to the actual power of the Word of God.
Yeah, 100%. And so for us, that's kind of where it started. We were joining this like mastermind group, and they sent everyone the Path Between Us. Yes. Path Between Us. Yeah, the green one. And so we read it and it was like, wow, this is crazy. And they told us to take this test. So Brooke and I both took this Enneagram test. We both tested as 3s.
Yeah.
And then we started reading this book, and like we got to the chapter on 3s, and I was like, this is definitely not Brooke, and this is definitely not me.
Yeah.
And so we both read it separately, or we listened to it separately, and then it was like, okay, what do you think? Like, who do you think I am? What do you think I am? And we both got it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And so it just like,
if you're unfamiliar, the Enneagram is 9 personality types, and that everybody fits into 9 types.
Yeah.
And so you can take a test. If you're going to take the test, I think take the real one from the Enneagram Institute.
Right.
It's super long. It's like $12 or something, but that one is more accurate than anything else. If you feel like you need to start there. However, if you're really interested, I don't think you need to start there.
I think the book is, I think the Path Between Us.
I think you should start with reading something or listening to people talking about it in their own lives and who they are. And then that's very helpful to either see yourself or not see yourself, or be like, oh my word, that's my spouse, or that's my mom, or that's so-and-so.
Yeah. And so the one book is called The Road Back to You. That's about like you as an individual person, which I think is helpful, but
it's good. If you have no concept of the Enneagram, it's good.
We establish ourselves based in relationship. Like we were created in community with God. Like he walked among the garden. Like Adam did not know himself in a vacuum.
Right.
And then God knew that it wasn't good for him to be alone. And so he made a partner, Eve. And so it's like, we weren't created to be individualistic vacuums. And so I think the Path Between Us is helpful because it relates the Enneagram and the personalities to relational.
How the different types relate to each other.
Which is why like something like Strength Finders, which again, I've taken that as well. Like I struggled with, like I took it and I was like, okay, yeah, this stuff is kind of true, but there was no relational element to it. And so it was like that language was helpful in terms of some of my behavior, but not in terms of like how I'm actually feeling deep within. And that's the result of the behavior, where the Enneagram was super helpful for that.
Yeah.
And so we studied that, and we talked about it a lot in the early podcast because that's when we were like kind of learning about it.
Yeah.
And that one has just been like, do we talk about it every day? No. Do we use it occasionally? Yes. But it's just like that. I feel like what it did is gave us like this base foundation of like understanding language that associated with
who we were individually.
Who God created us to be, which I think was super helpful. And so like
the lens through which he created me individually to see the world.
Yeah.
And because I'm always like, wow, that is not how I naturally like.
Yeah.
Knowing the difference between us has been so helpful.
And I think honestly, without it, like this podcast wouldn't, I don't know if it'd be as far as it is along. And I don't know if we would.
It's very true.
Because it just, again, it was like this nice foundation of language and terms. And like, like some of my best friends that are like counselors are like, oh yeah, it's like one of the easiest ways to like develop a really hardy language about emotions. And so, and what it does is it becomes sort of this diving board into hard conversations that you obviously like, that you would have definitely avoided. Mm-hmm. Like I definitely would have avoided them early on because
because again,
I would have been like,
even if somewhere inside of you were like, I know we should have this conversation, your insides are going, I don't know how to talk about it.
Yeah.
So now I feel all my walls are up and I feel super threatened because I don't know what to say. So I'm going to sound dumb. And so then we never have conversations.
Yeah.
Even if somewhere in our heart, we're like, I know that we should talk about this.
Yep. And so one of the biggest questions we get is, where do we start with that? Again, The Path Between Us, I think, is a great book. People ask us, I'm not a reader, or my husband's not a reader. And so
Well, you can listen to it.
Yeah, you can listen to the book, but Sleeping at Last has Sleeping at Last, the musician wrote a song about each number, which are really beautiful and well done. And then he has a podcast where he talks about like why the lyrics are the way they are. He has a guest who's like an Enneagram person, Chris Heuritz, on that podcast to kind of break down the number. And then he talks about, and then what's the Sleeping at Last guy's name? Aaron?
No. But now that you said that, I'm totally blank.
He talks about like, why he included strings, and like there's really cool musical theory and elements to it. And so like I feel like it's an easy introduction because everybody likes music.
Yeah.
And
it's a series within his already existing podcast.
Yeah. So that'd be another great place to recommend. And again, it's like, is it gospel truth? Absolutely not. Are there times where like people associate behavior to me based on my number, and I'm like, that's just wrong. Like, I got a message the other day that was like, this screams TJ to me, and it was like a meme, and I was like, I do not relate to this at all.
Yeah.
And it was like,
I get quite a few things about nines, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know nines who are like that.
Yeah.
But
and so it's like,
that's
again,
not me.
not gospel, but it is a helpful base foundation of emotional language that will allow you to then dig deeper into those conversations. And again, we're talking about paying attention to the emotions in your heart and your soul. Once you're aware of what some of those are, you're more quick to be like, I'm actually not frustrated with how long it's taken the shoes to get on. I'm worried because I think my time is limited.
Behind. Yeah.
Which segue into our next topic.
So nice. You're welcome.
You want to explain that?
The chair behind?
Yeah. Which we've explained before.
We've explained a lot. It really just means it's a very aggressive term when you're in a conversation with somebody to say, what's really going on here?
Yeah.
But that's what I think your heart might be right in what you're asking. What you're trying to say is like, I don't think you're actually upset about this surface thing up here. I think there's something deeper. And so the chair behind is helpful visually. If you picture yourself sitting in a chair and you're upset, let's say about the shoes. So TJ's up here in his chair of life. Where we live most of our lives up here in this chair. He's upset the kids aren't putting on their shoes.
I'm raging that Mac was lost at a secondary location.
And driven across the island. Yes. Okay. But and so if instead of saying, hey, what's really going on here? Like you feel like there's something else. If I say, hey, what's the chair behind right now for you? And if TJ pictures himself standing up, walking around and sitting down in an empty chair behind him, it's like one layer deeper. Yep. And sometimes there's a row of chairs. Yeah. And then you realize, gotta get up again. Yeah. There's another one back there and another one back there. And then
sometimes it's like you sit in a chair that's like you're an 8-year-old and you think that you're unworthy of love. That's just like an example.
It's just like an example that I could get to quasi quickly.
Quickly, but
yeah. But the more we do that and use that, and I always try to picture it in my head, me standing up and sitting, it gets real easy, or not real, it's easier to actually get up and walk past all the empty chairs pretty quickly and sit in the final one real fast and say, here's what it is.
Yeah. And so you're paying attention to things that are like, making you have sort of a visceral reaction or fight, flight, or freeze reaction.
Yeah.
And instead of just sitting in that fight, flight, or freeze, you actually have the ability to say, okay, this is the visceral thing happening in my brain. What's happening in my heart?
Yeah.
And because you can do that quickly, as you develop that sort of habit, you end up not like Brooke and I honestly can say like we barely fight.
And even when we do, which is, I'm going to put a number on it. How many times in a year would you call it a fight? But even then I feel like I need to clarify what you and I would consider a very strong disagreement, heightened conversation.
Where we're pissed at each other. Oh, sorry. It was a hard P sound. We're pissed.
How many times in a year? Or do you have a number?
I do.
Oh, I'm afraid mine is even too high. 1, 2, 3.
6.
3?
Okay.
6, that's once every 2 months.
Yeah, that seems high.
That does seem high.
And again, this is not like us tooting our own horn. Because early in our marriage, it was not that way.
But here's the thing. So many of them weren't conversations. They were long avoiding
Yes.
semi-silent treatment type.
Like
It
wasn't a hot war, it was a cold war.
There you go. Yeah.
We all know if we're married, we've had cold wars with our spouses.
Right.
And we've also had hot wars.
Yeah.
Where shots are fired.
We're blowing them out. We're blowing up the park. Yeah.
But all this is like I don't say that to just be like, hey, look how great we are. It's because we're doing this work, and this work has value.
Yeah.
And the more you do it, the more value that it becomes. And so, Enneagram
it sort of snowballs in a good way.
Yeah.
It becomes easier to push it all down the hill because it's just.
And so it's like, like in the Bible, it talks about like, we feed you like baby food essentially, because you're not ready for steak. And then you hope,
steak.
but as you grow in your walk with the Lord, you should be able to eat steak. And so like same with your marriage, like we're taking baby steps at first, and then we took little baby steps with the Enneagram of like, oh, this is cool. Like, look how like helpful this
really
thing is.
feels like me. This is how I see things.
And then it's like, oh, okay, that's helpful. Those were some baby steps. Now what's the steak? What's the jog? What's the run? What's the sprint? What's going to get us through the marathon? And like, these are just things that we're layering on top of each other so that the arguments become less, the intimacy becomes more. And I don't mean like physical intimacy, although emotional intimacy definitely helps with our physical intimacy.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about just that deep emotional, like ride or die intimacy of just like, we are each other's people, and we are two shall become one. And this emotional depth and richness in understanding who you are and understanding who your spouse is, just ends up creating this relationship that you literally, when the day you got married, you never thought it was possible. Like,
I would even clarify and say, I never thought about it.
Yeah.
It's not like I thought it was impossible when we got married. It was just like, is that even a thing?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But it is, and it can be. And so these are just ways that I think help cultivate that. So it's paying attention. It starts with paying attention. And then it's like, it's doing the like almost dirty work of like, I'm paying attention because this part of the garden always has weeds, and I'm just pulling them from this, like, I'm not pulling them well. So what can I do? Okay, well, I'm going to dig this part out.
Yeah.
And that's dirty, and it takes some guts, and it takes effort, and it takes like some bravery and some courage. But once you do and you dig it out, you're like, oh, my garden is growing much better now. Like, I'm not having to do as much maintenance because the roots have been
removed or cleaned or whatever,
Could new roots grow? Absolutely. So do I need to sort of be on like protection mode and like growth mode? Absolutely. And so I would say another really helpful tool, and then I'll get into this book right here. Another super helpful tool for us was taught to us by Josh Straub from Famous at Home. It's called the 15 minutes at the end of the day. And we don't even do it at the end of the day. I say we do it.
We've talked about this a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, it's so valuable that it's worth repeating again and again and again, just like we repeat Sabbath again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
It's having an emotional check-in every day with your spouse. What's the most positive emotion you have, or your kids? We do this with our kids too. Not every day, but we do it with our kids. We ask them, what's the most positive emotion? What's the most negative emotion they've had that day?
Yeah.
And obviously everyone likes to talk about the positive. What's the highlight of your day? We do that every day. But the negative emotion, what it does is it allows you to be on the same page. Like if Brooke is going through like yesterday, she had a swirly day, felt off all day.
And I couldn't place it,
which
is uncommon. Usually I can place it.
And so we talked about it yesterday, and like,
sorry, a lot.
Yeah, which is fine. And like, imagine if we didn't talk about it and I'm just like, Brooke's mad. Like I could get in my head of like, Brooke's mad at me. What did I do?
Yeah.
Now I'm going to like go into defensive mode and like fight, flight, or freeze. I'm going to,
or fawn,
yeah,
the lesser known,
yeah,
which is like extreme people pleasing,
yeah,
because you feel a threat.
And so like for me, I flight. I'm just like, I'm out. I don't want to have this conversation. At least I used to be.
Yeah.
Again, these tools have helped me stay and be like, let's have this actual conversation. I'm not going to get mad. We're just going to talk about it.
Yeah.
And so like, imagine yesterday with Brooke having this like sort of rough day. Like I could have been in my head about like, what's going on? Like, was it something I did today? Was it something I did 2 days ago? Was it something I did last week?
Yeah.
But because we have the emotional check-in daily, I know it wasn't yesterday.
Yeah.
she didn't like her negative emotion yesterday was this, or it wasn't anything, or her
Right.
positive was this. So like something happened today. So then we have this check-in today, and it's like she has the language to be like, I honestly don't know what it is, and I think I'm just having one of those days. And so then
Probably hormones.
then I'm not then I'm not feeling on pins
Edge.
and needles.
Yeah.
Like I'm walking on eggshells.
Yeah.
And so it's just super, super valuable. So
Yeah.
that's another one that's just like, we're going to talk about that every 40 episodes
Yeah.
because it's so valuable.
Yeah. A book that I would mention that I do not have in front of me because I didn't think about this is the book called Try Softer. So if you're familiar with the more popular book of The Body Keeps Score, The Body
Yeah.
Keeps Count, The Body
Body
Keeps
Keeps
Score, which is the very brain science version of like, you know,
We're talking great brain,
great brain.
good skull,
Yeah. Right.
not the way we want to live.
Right. Not how I live my life, but it's fine. Works for some people. Which again, I'm not recommending that book, but if you want sort of
Have you ever, I don't know if you, we'd remember.
I've listened to some of it.
Okay.
And if you want sort of a version of that book through a faith lens, Try Softer by Andi Kolberg is Kolberg. No, I'm not positive.
Swami?
Her name's Andi, which is all I remember.
Samsonite.
Is really, really good. She is a trauma-informed therapist in Colorado, and so she writes about stuff, which is just she writes about stuff. No, she writes about like the stuff that is coming from all of her therapy sessions. So she has this, everything she's learned in the science realm of things, and then she is connecting it with our faith in Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not just like, this is what your brain does, which is still a helpful thing to know,
Yep.
or this is why your body reacts this way.
Yeah.
But I have been getting a lot of language. I don't think I could have jumped into that right away. I would have been like, whoa,
Yeah.
this is a lot.
Yeah.
I still don't know who I am.
Yeah.
But like now that I do have these foundations and years of building language and being able to talk about things, a book like that that's a little more technical, but ties it into my faith has been super helpful with, that's where I first learned about the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoo, that's me sometimes. Like
Right.
very much so.
Yeah.
And so that's just, I don't have it in front of me. You have your
But
books, but
That's a good one.
yeah, I would definitely recommend that if
Yeah.
that interests you.
That's great. And so, Enneagram led us to like a lot of like parenting books. Like it led us just to be like comfortable with like, okay, we're going to read about hard things. And so it led me to a book
Or
called,
read about things that I feel like I should naturally be good at. Like I'm a parent now, so I guess
Yeah.
I just know. Wait.
and just
don't.
like, it led us down a path of like, okay, learning has an incredible amount of value. Obviously that's understatement of the year, but it's like, it's not scary. Like there was definitely
Yeah.
a point in my life where I was like, I'm scared to learn about myself because what if I don't like what I find out?
Yeah.
And there's
What am
an
I gonna
element
find?
of like, you won't. There are parts that you won't like. But that is why the blood of Jesus covers all sins. And that's why we need Jesus so desperately and need his spirit to continue to sanctify us as we grind out those hard parts of our heart and that dark sin in our lives.
Yeah.
And so it's like there's an incredible amount of freedom that comes with this journey of learning how you tick, because then you see how big God's grace is. If you ignore all the sin in your life, you ignore the grace that has been poured out for that sin.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like while at first it's like sort of butt clenchy and just like, gosh, why do you even like me, Brooke? I don't like myself. Do I really do that? I do that. Oh my word, I'm the worst. Although sevens are the best, statistically speaking. And then it leads you down to like, oh, that was really helpful. We've had great conversations. Our relationship is improving. Our intimacy is improving. Our friendship is improving.
My parenting is
My
improving.
parenting is improving. I have more patience with my kids. You're like, I want more. Give me more. It's sort of like, fitness where you're like, I started to lift weights and now I see a difference. And so I'm going to lift more weights. Like,
Yeah.
And so that led us to a book called Parenting with Heart, which I highly recommend, by Chip Dodd and Stephen James, which then led me to this book by Chip Dodd called The Voice of the Heart, Call to Full Living.
Which we have talked about.
Yes. Discover the gift of the 8 feelings. And so basically like I think he's got a feelings chart in the back here. He's got conditions of the heart. So it's like, if you're
Lots of
watching,
words.
lots of pages, or just, I guess, one page of just like all these feelings that you can have: loved, unimportant, ineffectual, antagonistic, alive, regretful, helpless, vengeful, wanted, bashful, resigned, indignant, lustful, self-conscious, apathetic, hated, worthy, puzzled, shy, unloved, respected, edgy, uncomfortable, friendly. That's just one line.
row out of
Yeah,
6.
a bunch. And so we would associate that with those are our feelings. And basically his premise is like, well, we actually only have 8 feelings. So way back in the chair behind loved, there's a feeling.
Yeah.
Way back in the chair behind awed, there's a feeling. Way back in a chair behind fed up, there's a feeling. And so this,
Yeah, I'm just feeling fed up.
yeah.
Okay, but go back further.
Yep.
Because there's chairs behind that. And there's only 8 chairs back there. So which one are you going to sit in?
Yep. And so the book starts off with talking about those 8 feelings.
I will say it's an easy read.
Yeah, 100%.
Like not like, I don't mean easy like surfacey. It's actually very deep, very fast, but it's not a huge book.
No.
And it's not a difficult read.
Yeah.
Like I went through it, I think in like 4 days.
It's one that I told Brooke just a few weeks ago, like this is going to be an annual January read.
Yeah.
Because I think it has that much value and it's so rich with language to allow you to like kind of, it's just a great way to just like reframe your year and reframe your perspective on who you want to be. So I got a ton of stuff highlighted, and honestly, I was just like, I could open it and read it and you'd be like, man, that's good. So we use feelings. This is from the book. We use feelings to communicate our God-given hunger for relationship. Unless we rediscover our ability to feel deeply and express feelings clearly, we will never find a full life. And so I think the idea of paying attention to your emotions is the first step in sort of that pathway to rediscovering, you know, your emotions and your feelings.
Yeah.
And if you're not paying attention, or if you're ignoring those things that are being drawn to your attention, like I feel like you're just going to be in like sort of that hamster wheel of life of just like, oh, I get frustrated. Let me run it out, or let me fight it out, or let me freeze it out, or let me fawn it out.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you're just like, oh, I'm still like, instead of really diving deep. Here's another line from the book. The truth is that the more mature of heart we are, the more we need to be tended to so that we may give more. And so again, this is all just like, and again, like when you think about Jesus saying, love your neighbor as yourself, I think a lot of people have kind of twisted that up in the self-love movement of like, I need to love myself, so I need to go to a spa or like get a massage or like take time alone. And like, I'm not negating any of those things, but like to truly deeply love yourself, I think means to like fully understand how you tick.
Yeah.
And then that allows you to have full, authentic expressions of your heart towards others and actually love others well without sort of like vile selfishness kind of being the root, or like bitterness or whatever, because you can unpack those things and hopefully like be sanctified through them.
Yeah.
And so there's, let me get to another part of this book. Should have dog-eared it, babe. So basically he says there's 8 feelings. So I'm going to read those 8.
Okay.
And again, I struggled with this. I 100% was like, I don't know if I believe that. It feels like there should be more. 8 doesn't seem like enough. The 8 feelings, these are the 8 feelings: hurt, lonely, sad, anger, fear, shame, guilt, glad. And then he unpacks it. And again, just buy this book, read it. We'll link it. And so one of the main questions is, why is only one feeling positive? Which is the first question I asked, like as a 7 on the Enneagram, like, you know,
The
enthusiast. I'm very excited about life. It was just like, no. And as someone who avoids negative emotions and negative feelings and has for a long time in my life, this was definitely a challenge to be like, most of them are negative, but this is why.
Yeah.
Actually, each feeling is positive because of where it can lead. Hurt leads to healing. Loneliness moves us to intimacy. Sadness expresses value and honor. Anger hungers for life. Fear awakens us to danger and begins wisdom. Shame maintains humility and mercy. Guilt brings forgiveness. Gladness proves hope of the heart to be true. And so as you pay attention to sort of those emotions of your life, and then as you gather the language to learn about them, it will lead to a fuller life. Like this book, like The Voice of the Heart, A Call to Full Living, like understanding our heart and how God created us to tick, and how we learn and how we move and how we just function in the world emotionally, will allow us to have deeper relationships, more intimacy with our spouse and with our kids and with our parents and with our grandparents, like our siblings, all that kind of stuff, because we will be like hearts alive, a heart of flesh instead of a heart of stone. And so it's just like, it's so valuable. And it's why Brooke and I It's why the podcast now exists. It's like, at first it was like, I don't know, like, let's see if this thing will work. And now it's like, we finally have the reason behind this. It's like, it's to give language. It's to give language to the things that are hard to talk about. Because if we have language, then we can talk about them. And when we can talk about them, healing can occur. And when healing can occur, joy can come in the morning. And it's all connected.
Yeah. It is. You just have to pay attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, I think that was like a lot of information.
Probably.
He also has a book called The Needs of the Heart, which is even a smaller read. But I would definitely I would just, if you're
feeling like I want to talk about the things,
yeah,
but it hard.
And let me go back to one thing before we end for the day. Integrated 3 years ago was when I learned about the chair behind and the 15-minute emotional check-in. And I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. That first emotional check-in was almost physically painful for me.
It's physically very uncomfortable.
Like, I just was like, I don't want to do this. And it took weeks, months, years, to make it more of a normal, make it a more everyday rhythm in our house. And so my
not years,
but months, but so my encouragement to you, just the same as with Sabbath, the life-changing habit of Sabbath, is hopefully you guys are still trying it in November. That was the challenge. And so my encouragement to you is if you're going to take one of these things, the emotional check-in, which is a super valuable one, don't try it once and be like, that was uncomfortable. Because that's exactly what we're trying to get around, is we're trying to make those uncomfortable conversations between spouses more comfortable, because the more comfortable they are, the more your marriage can flourish.
Yeah.
And so if you ignore it for long periods of time, eventually the weeds root system in your garden will be too strong, and it will overpower anything, and nothing will be able to grow.
Right. So you do something drastic and you cut down the whole tree.
Yeah. Or you rip out the garden and people get divorced or whatever. And it's just
no, wait.
And so, I just think again, it's going to be uncomfortable at first. And even the Enneagram might be uncomfortable for some of you. And this book might be uncomfortable. I remember reading this book and being like, I don't know if this is true. This is really hard for me to kind of understand. But it's the same when I read the gospel, and I'm just like, oh, golly, that's hard to take.
Yeah.
And again, but it's worth it because of the fruit that it bears. And so if you plant good things into your brain, into your heart, and into your mind, into your soul, you'll harvest good things in life.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying riches and success, but I'm just saying emotional health, stability, the ability to have healthy, long-lasting relationships.
Yeah.
Because that's why we're doing this. I want to be an emotional, healthy 37-year-old so that I can be an emotionally healthy 87-year-old who's helping my kids be parents.
Yeah.
I'm never going to stop parenting my girls. And I think a lot of our generation right now has experienced their parents stopping. At some point they just said, hey, this is enough. And I don't know if that's emotional or culture or whatever.
I don't even think it's intentional.
But
or
if
it's very
just
subconscious.
The state of culture today, whatever the reason is I don't want that to be my life.
Yeah.
And so I will work hard to be emotionally engaged with you and with them, because I want that long-term emotional connection.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've seen the quote before, and I think it's even in Try Softer. She talks about how we are what we pay attention to.
Yeah.
And our brains, literally with brain science, become what we pay attention to.
Right.
And so it's so important to pay attention to the things that hopefully matter to you like this. And just, continue to dig deeper. Even when I learned about myself, which was back probably when I first discovered the Enneagram, that my personality, just me, my type, I will avoid discomfort at all costs.
Yeah. Literally
all costs. And so
phone calls.
Oh, yeah. And you're thinking oh, okay. So something real intense. No. A phone. I dislike making phone calls, so I will never make a phone call. I don't like parts of working out or doing things. And I had never acknowledged or had the language and words for, oh, I'm avoiding X, Y, and Z. I classically procrastinate, not because I'm lazy, not because I'm this, but because I am avoiding discomfort of any kind at all costs. And figuring that out and paying attention to that and being like, oh, I don't love that. don't want to be somebody who just avoids everything.
Yeah.
But I had
'Cause
to get
eventually
there and I
you'll
had to
avoid-
name it.
Because eventually you'll avoid relationships.
Oh, you'll avoid everything because
Yeah.
everything's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Or at least that's how it feels for
Yeah.
me. And so you have to like get all the way down to the root or all the way to the chairs behind, name it, sit with it for a minute, and then you sort of climb your way back out
Yeah.
and figure out what that looks like to live, paying attention to that in everyday life.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's worth it.
Oh, yeah.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, that was a lot.
That
Felt good though. That's part 1 of the life-changing practice of paying attention. We'll get into part 2 next week, where we'll just come back next week. I'm going to preview it.
We will be back next week.
But
I don't think we've ever said that at the end of an episode.
Yeah.
See you next week, guys.
But on Thursday or Wednesday, if you're a subscriber, the collection will go live.
Oh, yeah.
Online warehouse sale. Should we hit them with discount code? Should the code be Good Brain or Great Skull as an homage?
Are we bringing it back?
We're bringing it back. So use the code either Good Brain, all one word, or Great Skull, all one word, to save a little bit extra on either the podcast collection, the print shop, or the online warehouse sale, all happening at the same time.
Nice.
Just buy something from everything.
There.
Yeah. Good Brain, Great Skull. Separate. So if you have a good brain, use that. If you have a great skull, which I'm sure most of you do, use that. All right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for making us a part of your week.
Okay.
I love you. Bye.